crafters, it's Chris from Crafts with Chris. And I want to thank you guys for either going to my online shop, making a purchase and using the current host code, or buying this card class outright. So today's card class is the Seascape card class. So I will be using the Seascape stamp set and also the Sea Life dies. So you should have received in the mail a packet from me to make 6 cards, 3 different designs. You also will have a PDF file in there, which will list all of the materials used, the sizes of some of the materials, and a link to this video. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. This is card number 1. So you should have all your materials with card number 1, 2, and 3. So I've got mine already cut. Card number 1 is pretty simple. You will receive this already die cut out. Now with this is the dies here. I'm just going to show you guys. The fish and the seahorse will die cut and it will be left inside your paper. So if you want to take this fish and cut it out, you can see there's a snip right here you would do with your paper snip, a paper snip right here, and then 2 up here, and that will pop that fish right out. For this card, I'm leaving it in the die cut, or I'm leaving the die cut in the cardstock. And this one's really simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my stamping first. With your pool party base here, you should have a score line. You just want to go ahead and give that a good crease. So in this stamp set, there are bubbles. So I'm going to take this bubbles out here, and we're going to use the Versamark and do the watercoloring technique with it. So I'm just going to stamp these bubbles all around the outside of this card base. And there's no, you know, I'm not really doing it in any particular order. You can turn your bubbles. You can do whatever you want. I'm just going around the outside of the card because we are going to put that yellow fish right in the middle. So that's all I did to create the bubbles. So I'm all done with our Versamark. And we're going to go ahead now and glue this on the front here. So with this fish, there are some options that you can do. You can glue the whole thing flat. You can kind of pop up these fins, you know, and just glue around here. These little guys here, you can pop them up. What I did was I went through the back and I kind of just took my Take-A-Pick tool and just poked all of them. And then it'll give you a textured look to the scales of that fish. So that's an option if you want to do that. So I'll just go ahead and do that. You don't have to poke them real hard. They're already pre-score or pre-cut. So as you can see, it gives your scales more of a 3D effect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this down. I'm going to use my liquid glue. And you don't need a whole heck of a lot of it. So I'm just going to kind of go close to the fish, but I'm not going to glue that fish die cut down because I'm going to pop that up a little bit on the front of my card. So that should be good. The nice thing about the liquid glue is you do have a little bit of time before it settles. So if your project is a little crooked, like this one is a little, you can move it. So that's it. And then, like I said, you can come in with your Take-A-Pick tool or your hand. You can kind of pop this fish up. It kind of gives it that nice little 3D effect. So then I'm going to take my Memento ink, and you could either do this one, I'm here for you always, or thank you. I'm going to use thank you. And I'm just going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp this right in the center on the very bottom of my card base. So it's just like that. And then to finish this off, in your packet, you will have these, the 2021, 2023 in color jewels. You'll just get a variety of them, and you can go ahead and place, I took about 5 of them on each card, and you can just place them anywhere randomly on your card. And then to finish it off, you do have a piece of basic white, and you're just going to layer that on the inside of your card. And that is card number 1. Super simple. So this is card number 2 with the goldfish on it. So you're going to go ahead and take out all of your materials for that. We're going to do our stamping first. Very simple. In there you will find this piece of Very Vanilla. I've gone ahead and I've used the memento, and I'm going to do the thank you again on this, and I'm going to just stamp it right in the center. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to bring in the elements to our card. I'm going to go ahead and fold that Pear Pizzazz card base right in half. In there you will see this piece of designer series paper, so we're going to layer that on the front of the card first, and I'm just going to use my stamp and seal to apply the glue with. And then in here you'll see this piece of Pool Party, and it's got the scallops edge already on there. That's going to get glued on the bottom of your card base. So I'm just using stamp and seal, and I'm going to make sure I get some on each of those waves so it doesn't pull up. And then I'm going to go ahead and line this up on the bottom on top of that designer series paper. So it almost looks like water. So then what we'll do is, let's put our fish on next. You know what? No. Let's do our inside first, our basic white. So you have your basic white. We're just going to layer that on the inside of the card. And you have a big goldfish, and you have 4 little small ones. So I'm going to take my goldfish. I'm going to use the liquid glue. Again, if you want to glue the whole fish down, you can, or you can let some of these pop up. So I think I'm going to glue down. I want to make sure my fish is on there, so I'm just going to put some dabs of glue on parts of his fins. Don't need a lot, just a little bit will do. Then you're going to take your fish, and I kind of have them going half in and out of the water, I guess. I'm just going to press that down. And then your little goldfish. So these guys, I'm going to go ahead and put swimming here. So you have one that goes one way and one that goes the other way. One that, I guess, one that faces one way and one that faces the other way. So I'm just going to kind of figure out where I want to put them. That looks good. I'm going to use my liquid glue again. Just a little dab on there. So when you're putting your liquid glue on, you want to just make sure you're using just a little bit of that glue, Like I said, this glue goes a long way. And then this is going to get glued up here, but before I do that, I'm going to take my Stampin' Right marker. This is shaded spruce, and I'm going to use the paintbrush tip. And all I'm going to do is just edge this. If you don't have the Stampin' Right marker, you can also do this with an ink pad. Just kind of roll it into the ink pad. I just like to add these little touches. They give a little, just gives it a better detail to pop out on the front of the card there. So because I have my liquid glue out, I'm just going to use that to glue that down. And then I'm just going to glue that right up in the corner here. And then that's it to card number 2. So this is card number 3. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in all my materials. Now I'm going to show you guys how I did this seahorse. You will have your seahorse already done for you, but if you wanted to recreate that seahorse, what I did was I took a piece of basic white. I took it big enough to cut out that seahorse. And then what I'm going to use is the blending brushes, and I'm going to use the Calypso Coral and Flirty Flamingo. And let me go ahead and open these. Again, like I said, you guys will already have this done for you, but if you wanted to recreate it, this is how I did it. So I'm going to take my Calypso Coral. I'm going to get some on my brush. Before I put it right on my paper, I'm going to go off to the side, because if you put it directly on your paper, you're going to get that dark spot on your paper. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of put it on my basic white. I'm going to go in circular motions, and I'm just going to do an area big enough for my seahorse. So again, every time you pick that ink up off of your ink pad, you want to go off to the side so you don't get those marks on there. So then I'm going to bring this back in. Now I'm going to take my Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to do the same technique, off to the side, and I'm just going to kind of roll this right over top of the Calypso Coral. So you can go as light or as dark as you want to with this. I think I'm just going to bring in my Calypso Coral one more time. So that's all I did. And then you take your seahorse die and you run it through your cut and emboss machine to get that seahorse. So my seahorse is all cut out, and I want to show you guys, when you pull your seahorse off, it's going to be stuck into your paper like I had showed you at the beginning with the goldfish. So I'm going to show you guys, really simple, same thing with the goldfish. There's just a couple, there's 4 spots that you want to clip on each of them, and you'll see once you get it. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and just clip out where these pieces are held together. And then in here, let me just cut this out first. So in there, you have those little pieces. So I find it's easier to clip it right away from the paper. And then I'll kind of just go in at an angle, follow this one up. And you do the same thing here. You just follow the 2 cut lines. I didn't cut that all the way. There we go. And then that's how you get your seahorse or the goldfish out. We're going to set that aside. In your card packet, you have this little strip. It's a 1/2 by 3. And in that stamp set, there's this "I'm here for you always" sentiment. So I'm going to use my memento. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp that right on that piece of basic white. And that's it for our stamping. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to bring in the rest of my pieces here, and we're going to go ahead and fold our Calypso Coral card base. And there's this very pretty piece of Designer Series paper. We're going to layer that right on the front. And there is this stitched shape rectangle here. We're going to layer that on the front. We're going to layer this, we're going to offset it, so it's going to go more towards the left-hand side of the card. And then your seahorse is going to go right on that. So I'm going to use my liquid glue on that so I can glue that right down. And I'm going to put this guy right on the front here. I love how he stands out on that basic white. And then you're going to go ahead and take, in there is this piece of coral reef. You can pop up all of these pieces if you wanted to make it 3D, or pop up some of them. I'm just going to put some liquid glue on there and call it a day. So I'm just going to line this up over here in the right hand corner. Then I'm going to take this piece of basic white, and we're going to layer that on the inside of the card. And then this is going to have some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals on it. So I'm going to put probably 3 of them on it. Then I'm just going to pop this up right on the bottom here, just like that. And that is card number 3. So here are the cards for this card class. I hope you guys enjoyed making these cards as much as I did, and I look forward to seeing you in our next card class together.